We're kicking off with Raw as Finn Balor and the Judgment Day sent a message loud and clear to both Damian Priest and Gunther, laying out both men at the start of the show. Before then, Gunther and Balor exchanged barbs before Priest cut off a 4-on-1 beatdown on the ring general, though Gunther showed his appreciation by attacking Priest. Gunther threatened to send Priest through a table until Balor delivered a sling blade that took down the champion and followed with 3 coup de grace to Priest. The Judgment Day star capped off things by holding the World Tag Team and World Heavyweight titles over his head, but this weekend's title match just got even bigger. After the attack, Pearce confronted the Judgment Day backstage and shared the bombshell that Damian Priest was now part of the title match at Saturday night's main event. The match is now a triple threat match, and not only adds intrigue to the match, but means Gunther has no champion's advantage and could lose the title without being pinned. This is shaping up to be one of the most unpredictable matches of the night, and who do you see leaving as World Heavyweight Champion? Share your predictions in the comments. But why did WWE make this a triple threat match? Well, one theory is that WWE didn't want Finn Balor to take the pinfall if the plan is for Gunther to retain. It's been reported that a major singles push is expected to unfold for Finn in 2025, though that doesn't mean the chances of him dethroning the ring general are particularly high. It's possible that WWE added Priest to the match so that he can take the pinfall loss instead of Balor, giving Finn an argument that he was never pinned and deserves a rematch. By doing this, WWE could protect the former NXT champion and position him for world title contention again after a few months when that reported push is in full effect. The inclusion of Priest may be to continue his rivalry with Finn Balor, which was reignited at Survivor Series during Priest's title match with Gunther. Adding Priest to Saturday night's main event allows WWE to continue this bitter feud while keeping the storyline fresh and maintaining the interest of fans. The match's finish could determine the fate of this rivalry, as if Priest eats the pin, Balor could blame him for failing to win the gold, especially since he was neither pinned nor submitted. Whatever takes place, WWE has several avenues to go in now that Priest has been added to the match, and we'll just have to wait until this weekend to see which direction the story goes in. Finn Balor certainly has his hands full with both Damian Priest and Gunther, but this week's Raw saw him take a subtle shot against Judgment Day ally Dominik Mysterio. It was on last week's Raw that Gunther defeated Dirty Dom before being hit with a coup de grace from Balor, which set up their title match for Saturday night's main event. This week, Balor said in his promo that Gunther could have simply given him the title match, but instead messed with him and gave it to someone who didn't deserve it, like Dirty Dom. This is just the latest tease of tensions between Balor and Mysterio in the Judgment Day, as the two have seen multiple disagreements, especially around Balor's handling of matters. Do you expect Dominik to turn on Balor, possibly at Saturday night's main event? Is this comment what will send Mysterio over the edge? Share your thoughts in the comments. The Wyatt Six's Uncle Howdy, Eric Rowan, Dexter Lumis, and Joe Gacy collided with the Final Testament, represented by Karrion Kross, AOP, and The Miz on Raw in a wild 8-man tag. The pop for the Wyatt Six proves the adage that less is more, as the group is still incredibly popular without being on TV and being overexposed each week. Scarlett interfered only to be taken out by Nikki Cross, and Howdy appeared poised to have the match won when he cinched in the mandible claw on The Miz. That was until Paul Ellering made his return to TV and took Howdy down with powder to the face, allowing Cross to hit the final prayer and get a huge win for his team. This was never going to be a 40-minute technical classic, but it did what it needed to do, which was be an out-of-control war that saw the referee struggling to maintain control. That allowed the heels to capitalize and score a cheap win over the faces, who will now be forced to avenge their loss down the line. But why did this match go the way it did? Well, one possible reason is that WWE plans to extend the rivalry between the two teams longer than it's already gone. Had the Wyatt Six won, the feud likely would have been done, as they've had the upper hand time and again, and WWE wouldn't have a clear angle to continue this story. With Ellering's interference, WWE now has the opportunity to set up a rematch and has given the current narrative a fresh twist with the return of the Hall of Famer. Another reason for Cross getting the win is that WWE is setting up a singles match between him and Uncle Howdy, likely for an upcoming edition of Raw. After this defeat, Howdy could call out Cross to go one-on-one, ensuring that there'd be no outside interference, at least in theory. Since the introduction of the Wyatt Six, Uncle Howdy hasn't been involved in many singles feuds, but cross-pinning him is the perfect opportunity to set one up. If WWE can wait, the Raw debut on Netflix could be the ideal stage for this showdown if WWE wants to make this potential singles feud seem like an even bigger deal. This was the first loss for Uncle Howdy as his new character, and Bo Dallas's first loss on Raw since his B-Team days in 2019, and the return of Ellering has put the Wyatt Six on defense. The question now is, how will the faction respond, as it's clear that this feud is far from over following the Final Testament's victory on this week's Raw. Should WWE have gone with someone else from the Wyatt Six taking the pin other than Uncle Howdy? Share your thoughts on this loss down in the comments section. This week's Raw also saw CM Punk have the opportunity to speak his mind, and the Best in the World has had plenty to say about the ramifications coming from Survivor Series War Games. Punk discussed the favor that Paul Heyman now owes him, adding that it's not the right time to talk about that, but said it was a personal thing and that he and Heyman go back a while. Whatever it is, it's between Punk and Heyman for the time being, and Punk also discussed Seth Rollins, saying he's not going to run from a fight with the Visionary. Punk is more confused than anything by the hatred Seth Rollins holds for him, and walked fans through their history, even sharing that Rollins once asked Punk to train him for free. That detail is something a lot of people leave out of Rollins' background, according to Punk, and claim that he shielded Seth from being fired from WWE for many years. Comparing their careers, Punk said he's done everything Rollins did in WWE, but did it better, and that Seth did a good job filling in for Punk during his near-decade-long absence from WWE. Now though, CM Punk is back and doesn't have time for Seth Rollins trying to fill his spot, and expect things to only get uglier from these two in the future. Seth Rollins took to the ring for a promo addressing Punk's comments, and took exception to Punk ghosting and ignoring everyone who cared about him when he left WWE in 2014. Rollins shared that their friendship came to a definitive end when Punk tarnished WWE's name at every given opportunity during his time away, as Rollins has always been fiercely loyal. Rollins even threw a shot at Punk in the end, pointing out that he's done something in WWE that CM Punk has never done despite his many years: headline WrestleMania. Sami Zayn interrupted to warn Seth that he was sounding more like Drew McIntyre than the guy he's known for 20 years, and Seth appreciated Sami apologizing for accusing him of attacking Jey Uso. Seth said Sami should finish his issues with McIntyre, which led to the announcement of Zayn vs. McIntyre at Saturday night's main event, but Drew attacked him at the top of the ramp. This was the best segment of the night at this point in the show, complete with a promo that continued the Rollins-Punk story and introduced the notion of Seth being obsessed. The idea that Seth is going down a similar path to McIntyre is a great touch, and the addition of McIntyre vs. Zayn this weekend on NBC was the cherry on top. Drew McIntyre appeared in a backstage segment to address his return to WWE, and began by reflecting on his bad blood loss inside of Hell in a Cell to CM Punk. McIntyre said that he could have returned to Raw after that, but chose to bide his time, during which he watched Survivor Series, where Roman Reigns and the Bloodline aligned with Punk. McIntyre was not impressed by Punk teaming up with the faction as a favor to Heyman, and shared his disgust that the group's other members would trust both Punk and Roman Reigns. It was this that led to Drew ending his hiatus and returning to Raw, and confirmed that he was the one who attacked Jey Uso before cementing his return with the attack on Sami Zayn. McIntyre ambushed Zayn at the end of the main event, and ending this week's segment, he vowed that if he can't change the past, he'll change the future now that he's back on Raw. It was good that WWE gave McIntyre a reason for returning when he did, as in reality, he was brought back by WWE earlier than planned due to Bronson Reed being out with an injury. Now McIntyre has the role of one of Raw's very top heels, and working with fellow top names like Jey Uso and Sami Zayn is a fitting comeback for the Scottish Warrior. The recently announced WWE transfer window got a lot juicier on this week's Raw when eagle-eyed fans spotted Tiffany Stratton backstage conversing with Adam Pearce. While the cameras were focused elsewhere, Miss Money in the Bank and Raw's GM were deep in conversation, leading to speculation that she could move in the shakeup. Stratton isn't just interested in Raw, as her appearance comes fresh off her teasing involvement in the NXT Women's title picture, a tease she made with her cameo at Deadline. The transfer window will reshuffle the rosters across Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, and Stratton's meeting with Pearce has left many wondering if she's ready to make a splash on Monday nights. SmackDown GM Nick Aldis is also keeping an eye on potential transfers, as on Twitter, he shared that Santa isn't the only Nick with a list he's checking twice. Fans have already speculated on moves to the blue brand, with Dominik Mysterio and World Heavyweight Champion Gunther already being seen conversing with Aldis last week. Tiffany Stratton's low-key discussion with Pearce has added a new layer to the mystery that is the transfer window, as it may be the women's world title that Stratton sets her sights on. What do you think Tiffany Stratton's next move will be? Will she cash in her Money in the Bank contract on NXT, or is a main roster shakeup in her future? Share your predictions down below. The action didn't stop after this week's Raw went off the air, as in a dark match, Tiffany Stratton faced off against fellow SmackDown superstar Bayley. In the end, it was the role model who got the win, as the fans in Kansas got to see two of WWE's top women go at it after the cameras stopped rolling. The New Day arrived to Raw in Wichita, Kansas to a chorus of boos, 1 week removed from severing their ties with Big E. Kathy Kelly tried to ask Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods about what had happened, but they declined to answer and took issues with her questioning. In the ring, the boos continued, mixed with "We want Big E" chants, and the fans didn't let up whenever the New Day tried to talk through all the noise. Neither Woods nor Kingston could get a word in, rattled by the noise from the fans, and responding to the chant, Woods argued that they didn't do anything to Big E. Kingston took a more violent approach, suggesting they could have taken a steel chair or sledgehammer to the neck of their former friend, but opted not to. With little else to do and the crowd not ready to listen to the pair, the New Day left the ring, with the final word being Woods' continuous protesting that they're innocent. The New Day's role this week was a great follow-up to what we saw last week and leaves fans interested to see what comes next for the Treacherous 2. It's rumored that Big E has been cleared for in-ring action and will return to face the New Day, and if so, the positive reaction to that could easily outperform the loud boos of this week. Over to AEW, and a lot has been said about Rey Fénix's relationship with the promotion, and this week, Fénix became the latest wrestler to criticize the company. On Twitter, Fénix shared that, "I needed a doctor and you ignored me for months," in a post that came after he suggested that there was inhumane treatment going on. Fénix isn't the first wrestler to call out AEW's medical protocols, with CM Punk previously claiming he was ignored by AEW and had to pay for his medical bills for an injury he suffered on AEW's watch. Fénix also responded to the report by Dr. Chris Featherstone, who stated that a huge injustice has happened and that when it comes out, the situation will be ugly. Fénix said this report was the most accurate report of what's been going on to date, as the debacle around his status with AEW continues to be drawn out. With injury time that'll see him remain with AEW through to 2025, Fénix is still with the company, and it remains to be seen if he'll face punishment for these posts. Nevertheless, these sorts of comments are hardly what Tony Khan wants, and what do you make of this ugly situation? Share your thoughts down below. Liv Morgan will put her women's world title on the line at Saturday night's main event, but before then, she battled Damage Control's Dakota Kai on this week's Raw. Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, and Shayna Baszler appeared at ringside to continue their feud with Damage Control and interfered twice, distracting Kai from her opponent. Despite this, Kai was rolling late into the match and seemed to have an answer for everything Morgan threw at her, even a running knee lift into the corner pulled from CM Punk's playbook. This was a new move in Liv's arsenal, and in the end, the Pure Fusion Collective was able to distract Kai long enough, allowing Morgan to hit Oblivion and get the win. This was a particularly wicked-looking Oblivion, and the selling from Kai was extraordinary, and after the match, Io Sky and Kairi Sane arrived to defend their teammate. The pair fended off the heels until Morgan was able to lay Sky out with her finisher and stood tall to end this segment with a message to the woman who will challenge her this weekend. Morgan vs. Sky has been criminally underpromoted, thanks to WWE's focus continuing to be on the Liv Rhea Ripley storyline, an angle that seems unsettled and unending at this juncture. Lyra Valkyria cashed her ticket to the semifinals of the Women's Intercontinental Title Tournament as she defeated Ivy Nile and Zelina Vega in triple threat action. This competitive match showcased all three competitors, giving the impression that any of them could have scored the win before Nile fell to the Valkyrie's Nightwing. After her strong push earlier this year, Lyra could be set up as one of the favorites to win the entire tournament, but still has a long way to go before she holds the gold. Valkyria will face either Alba Fire, Kairi Sane, or Natalya in the semifinals, as that triple threat has yet to happen, and a win in that will secure her a place in the finals. In the finals, she'll face either Dakota Kai, who qualified for the semis last week, or Zoe Stark, Raquel Rodriguez, or Kaden Carter, who are yet to have their first-round match. Cody Rhodes has WWE fans buzzing with a cryptic hint about a major surprise set to unfold at Saturday night's main event. After securing a victory over Carmelo Hayes in a dark match following the December 9th episode of WWE Raw, Rhodes made the moment even more special by gifting his signed belt to a young fan dressed just like him. But the real showstopper came moments later when Rhodes addressed the audience, promising something special for longtime fans at the upcoming event. This tease has sparked a whirlwind of speculation. Could it mark the return of a legendary figure, a game-changing announcement, or a jaw-dropping twist? With Rhodes' knack for delivering iconic moments, the excitement has reached a fever pitch. Fans can't wait to see what he has up his sleeve. The legal saga involving Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis has taken a dramatic twist with the upcoming resignation of U.S. Attorney Damian Williams, a prominent figure in high-profile prosecutions. Williams, who is stepping down on December 13th, leaves behind a case against McMahon and Laurinaitis that has been on hold since May, but is set to resume on December 11th. A spokesperson for Janelle Grant, the plaintiff in the case, expressed concerns over the timing of Williams' departure, stating, "The stay on Janelle Grant's case will expire December 11th. Before he leaves, we hope Damian Williams will hold Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis accountable to the fullest extent of the law for the abuse Janelle endured." Williams has been instrumental in prosecuting high-profile figures such as Sean P. Diddy Combs, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, and Ghislaine Maxwell. His resignation coincides with President-elect Donald Trump's announcement of Jay Clayton as his nominee to lead the U.S. Attorney's Office. Clayton, who previously served under Trump as chairman of the SEC, is expected to resume the role shortly after Williams' exit. In the interim, Deputy U.S. Attorney Edward Y. Kim will step in. Critics worry that Williams' departure could disrupt the momentum in the McMahon case, one of several legal challenges McMahon currently faces. This includes a separate lawsuit filed in October by former WWE ring boys alleging historic sexual abuse during McMahon's tenure. As the stay lifts on December 11th, attention turns to how Williams' successor will handle the case, especially given McMahon's long-standing ties to Donald Trump, a WWE Hall of Famer. Janelle Grant's legal team has pledged to persist in their pursuit of justice, emphasizing their commitment to holding McMahon and Laurinaitis accountable, regardless of changes in leadership at the U.S. Attorney's Office. What do you think about Damian Williams' resignation and its potential impact on the WWE case? Will the case move forward with the same intensity, or could this shift affect accountability? Share your thoughts and join the discussion below. Now, Brock Lesnar has remained absent from WWE television since his clash with Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam 2023, reportedly due to his alleged connection to Vince McMahon's trafficking lawsuit. While there's no indication of an imminent return, Lesnar was recently spotted enjoying a night out with his wife, Sable, following a concert. Canadian singer Jason McCoy shared a photo on Instagram featuring himself alongside Brock Lesnar and Sable after his performance in Regina, Canada. The event took place at Casino Regina, and McCoy expressed his excitement about the encounter, writing, "Amazing night in Regina hanging with Brock Lesnar and his beautiful wife Rhea." Sighting was particularly notable as it marked a rare public appearance for Sable, who typically prefers to stay out of the spotlight. Would you like to see Brock Lesnar return to WWE television in 2025? Drop your thoughts and feedback in the comments below. And we're ending with more from Raw as Rhea Ripley got closer to another women's world title match against Liv Morgan after she defeated Raquel Rodriguez in the show's Anything Goes main event. Ripley was in the driver's seat when Morgan tried to interfere, but Io Sky leveled the champ with a sneak attack, payback for what happened earlier in the show. Sky took out her Saturday night's main event opponent to ensure the match would come down to Ripley and Raquel, and Rhea escaped a Tejana bomb to hit the Riptide through a table. That got Ripley the win in this match, which, with 10 minutes left in the show when it began, certainly seemed rushed, but it was as good as any sub-10-minute match you'd get this year. There was plenty of action, and while it may not have flowed as nicely as one would have hoped, it was a fun use of the 10 minutes allocated. The more intriguing aspect, though, was the post-match stare-down between Ripley and Sky, both clutching the Women's World title, hinting at an eventual program for the two down the line.